We are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret society, opposed to secret oaths, opposed to secret proceedings, secret proceedings. No official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome to Conspiracy Corner Podcast. This is Abe, your host. It is 8:44 a.m., July 31st, 2024. Today we are going to be going down a rabbit hole, several rabbit holes really, of, we're doing a Leave the World Behind episode, and like I've said before, and this is a audiobook for the most part with commentary, but we have done some side episodes going down some rabbit holes, so go check those out. We got a couple of them. We got the QR code mystery. So all of these, by the way, will have Leave the World Behind in the main title. So Leave the World Behind, the QR code mystery. We have another episode on a haunted amusement park. We have another episode on the White Lion, the slave ship reference. And I think that's it as far as like little side rabbit holes. But yeah, I'm not sure if we're going to really get too much into the book today because the rabbit hole might take up the whole episode. So we'll see. So in the movie, but not in the book, Friends. The daughter Rose is obsessed with the show Friends. So let's start off with why and how and where that came about. Leave the World Behind. Why Friends was so important to the Netflix thriller, explained by director. The sitcom sensation that is Friends plays an important role in the recent Netflix apocalyptic thriller Leave the World Behind. The director Sam Esmail, which I don't know much about him, we might have to do a deep dive on him as the series goes on, has now explained why it was imperative to include the beloved comedy. Speaking with Collider, Esmail explained how crucial Friends was to the development of Farrah Mackenzie's character Rose, with the lyrics also providing the perfect commentary on the dramatic ending. That was a big conversation that we had for a long time, and you run through all the sitcoms that are these classics that could potentially work, but none of them really had that theme song that was so iconic. And I have to stress this. The lyrics of that song were so perfect. Oops, sorry. I just finished eating. Were so perfect for how the film ends. I honestly don't know what I would have done. There was a point where, after we ran through other options, I looked at the team and I said, I don't think we can afford to lose Friends. There's no show that fits that moment more perfectly than that show. So we had to use all our powers to make sure that we got the rights, and we luckily did. Released earlier this month, Leave the World Behind stars Julia Roberts, Mahershala Ali, Ethan Hawke, Mahalia, and Kevin Bacon, and follows two families as they attempt to make sense of the gradual breakdown in technology amid a mysterious cyber attack. Friends has become very much a comfort show for many, and a controversial show for others. And this is certainly the case with Rose, who watches the show whenever she can, and turns to it even when the world is collapsing around her. Possessing an emotional connection to show, says Ismail, Friends became important to both Rose and as a representation of the strive for normality even when surrounded by seriously abnormal circumstances. So from a character perspective, it just felt too perfect. Produced, written, and directed by Sam Esmail and based on the 2020 novel of the same name by Rumaan Alam. Leave the World Behind was produced by none other than the former President Barack Obama and former First Lady, Michelle Obama, through their Higher Ground Productions. The involvement of Obama has led to many conspiracy theories online, with Esmail now offering some clarification. I think the silly thing about the whole thing is President Obama really came on a couple of months before we started shooting, so the script had basically been written and done. He obviously gave notes on the script, but the bones of the story and the sequences were already written. I would just say they're pretty wrong in terms of his signaling. It had nothing to do with that. Leave the World Behind is now available to stream on Netflix and has been met with positive reviews due to the powerful performances from its A-list cast. So, let's get into the lyrics of the theme song for Friends and see why it's relevant to the director. So here's the lyrics to the theme song. So no one told you life was gonna be this way. Your job's a joke, you're broke, your love life's DOA. It's like you're always stuck in second gear, when it hasn't been your day, your week, your month, or even your year. But I'll be there for you. When the rain starts to pour, I'll be there for you. Like I've been there before. I'll be there for you, 'cause you're there for me too. You're still in bed at 10 and work began at 8. You've burned your breakfast. So far things are going great. Your mother warned you there'd be days like these, but she didn't tell you when the world has brought you down to your knees that I'll be there for you when the rain starts to pour. I'll be there for you like I've been there before. I'll be there for you 'cause you're there for me too. No one could ever know me. No one could ever see me. Seems you're the only one who knows what it's like to be me. Someone to face the day with, make it through all the rest with. Someone I'll always laugh with, even at my worst. I'm best with you. It's like you're always stuck in second gear, when it hasn't been your day, your week, your month, or even your year. I'll be there for you when the rain starts to pour. I'll be there for you like I've been there before. I'll be there for you 'cause you're there for me too. And then it just repeats. So that's the lyrics to the song. I guess it's fitting. I mean, it's talking about a shit day. And honestly, if as much as you guys have heard the book and paid attention to episodes, it's definitely fitting in my opinion. Alright, so this is Conspiracy Corner Podcast. Let's get into some deeper conspiracies. Speaking of Friends, let's get into Mathew Perry and his weird, eerie post about Batman before he died. So I delved a little bit into this, but I didn't really delve super deep into it. So, the truth about Mathew Perry's eerie Batman post before death. In the days before Mathew Perry's untimely death on Saturday, the Friends star posted about Batman a handful of times on social media. Perry died at his LA home on Saturday, aged 54, and prior to his death referred to himself as Matman in numerous posts, while also sharing images of a LED bat signal he appeared to have installed at the bottom of his pool. So, I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, a lot of the Leave the World Behind takes place in a pool. What's more, Perry uploaded a picture of himself relaxing in a jacuzzi days before he died in an apparent drowning, captioned, "Oh so warm, water swirling around makes you feel good. I'm Matman." So a lot of people say this is like a ritual, the whole bathtub ritual, jacuzzi ritual. There was a singer, I can't remember, Whitney Houston, I think it was. Since the actor's death, people have wondered en masse about his Batman references. Speaking of Batman, we've covered this before. Like, there's so much weird conspiracies around Batman and Joker and Batman shootings, Joker shootings, the Holmes case. That's a whole nother rabbit hole. I've covered it on this channel multiple times, so just go check it out, my older stuff. Since the actor's death, people have wondered en masse about the Batman references, with some of Perry's fans worrying he was attempting to send his own signal for help. Beneath a recent photo of a pumpkin carved with the Batman logo shared by Perry, one person wrote, "Do you want us to send help? Is this your signal?" Fans' interest prompted GQ to reshare an interview with Perry published ahead of his memoir release last year. In his 2022 memoir titled Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing, Perry spoke at length about his addiction struggles. Chatting to the outlet while promoting his book, Perry revealed he was such a huge Batman fan that he even bought an enormous home in LA just because it looked like Bruce Wayne's penthouse. "As you can see, I'm a Batman fan," he quipped at the time. Perry also showed off his phone, which was stamped with the Batman logo, and even referred to himself as the Caped Crusader. "I often say I'm Batman," Perry stated, before noting that his friends often gift him Batman paraphernalia, and that he intended to have a whole room in his new home dedicated to the superhero. Perry also referred to himself as Batman numerous times in last year's memoir, and the book's last chapter was called Batman, referencing his efforts to turn his past addictions into a superpower by speaking about them and helping others overcome their own. Perry poignantly wrote, "Someday you too might be called upon to do something important, so be ready for it. And when whatever happens, just think, what would Batman do? And do that." One of Perry's friends even addressed his Batman post when speaking to People magazine after it had been confirmed the A-lister had died. They said Perry's Matman references were about an upcoming project he was working on, adding, "He was having fun." A day after Perry's death, it was confirmed that the initial results of his autopsy were inconclusive, and the toxicology report has been requested. The Los Angeles County Medical Examiner also confirmed that Perry's body can be released to his family despite the fact an official autopsy conclusion might not be ready for weeks. Before it can be determined what Perry died from, further investigations, such as the toxicology report, need to be made, NBC News reports. His family spoke of their heartbreak in a statement telling People magazine, "We are heartbroken by the tragic loss of our beloved son and brother. Mathew brought so much joy to the world, both as an actor and a friend." They added, "You all meant so much to him, and we appreciate the tremendous outpouring of love. If you've got a celebrity story, blah, blah, blah." Okay, so that's the Mathew Perry connection with Friends, Batman, and let's go a little deeper down the rabbit hole. So, there's another connection. Julia Roberts plays in Leave the World Behind. She also dated Mathew Perry and was also a cameo on Friends. Now, a lot of people in the conspiracy community say that Mathew Perry is allegedly Julia Roberts' sacrifice. I don't know. It's crazy. But this is Julia Roberts addressing her ex-boyfriend, Mathew Perry, his death, and reflects on her friend cameo. The actress is reflecting on the heartbreaking death of her ex-boyfriend, Mathew Perry. Julia Roberts is reflecting on the heartbreaking loss of Mathew Perry. The 56-year-old actress recalled her brief stint on Friends in a new interview with ET's Kevin Frazier, offering her heartfelt reaction to Perry's untimely death. "All good thoughts and feelings," Roberts said of her experience on the beloved sitcom when she guest starred as a childhood classmate of Perry's Chandler Bing in the 1996 episode the one after the Super Bowl. Super Bowl. Superb. Owl. And we all know there's a lot of weird stuff around Super Bowls in general. Perry later wrote in his 2022 memoir that off camera, he and Roberts had engaged in a 3-month-long courtship at the time. They were so welcoming to me as just a kind of a one-off character, and it was a really fun time, she continued. The sudden passing of anybody so young is heartbreaking, Roberts said about her ex. I think that, it just helps all of us just appreciate what we have and have to keep going in a positive way the best that we can. Friends references are a reoccurring theme in Roberts' new film Leave the World Behind. The apocalyptic thriller also stars Mahershala Ali, Ethan Hawke, and Mahalia. It is in theaters now and will be streaming on Netflix beginning on December 8th. It's beautiful. He could sort of be honored in that way. Ali told E.T. of the way Friends is subtly included in the film, or the show sort of to be honored coincidentally at this time. So it's kind of nice that it has a little space in there. Perry died on October 28th. He was 54. In his book, Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing, Perry gave details about his romance with Roberts in the 90s. It began, he wrote, when the letter was considering her guest role on Friends. I sent her 36 red roses, and the card read, "The only thing more exciting than the prospect of you doing the show is that I finally have an excuse to send you flowers," he recalled in the book, going on to detail the timeline of their relationship. 3 or 4 times a day I could sit by my fax machine and watch the piece of paper slowly revealing her next missive, he wrote. I was so excited that some nights I would find myself out at some party sharing a flirtatious exchange with an attractive woman and cut the conversation short so I could race home and see if a new fax had arrived. He praised Roberts for her faxes and her intellect writing. It was like she was placed on this planet to make the world smile, and now, in particular, me. I was grinning like some 15-year-old on a first date. He noted that by the time they filmed her episode, they were already a couple. Perry also recalled a February 1996 appearance from Roberts on The Late Show with David Letterman, where she jokingly confirmed their romance. 2 months later, I was single, Perry added. Dating Julia Roberts had been too much for me. I had been constantly certain that she was going to break up with me. Why would she not? I was not enough. I could never be enough. I was broken, bent, and unlovable. Aww. He continued that the pressures of dating such a famous star had made him decide to break up with her. Instead of facing the inevitable agony of losing her, I broke up with the beautiful and brilliant Julia Roberts, he wrote. She might have considered herself slumming it with a TV guy. And TV guy was now breaking up with her. I can't begin to describe the look of confusion on her face. In the weeks following his passing, Perry's family launched the Mathew Perry Foundation in honor of his enduring commitment to helping others struggling with the disease of addiction. So that's cool. As someone who's a friend of Bill, that's cool. It is important to us as a family to honor Mathew's legacy. His family said in a statement to E.T. earlier this month, the potential that Mathew Perry Foundation has to help those suffering with this disease is something we are proud to bring to the world. So, let me know in the comments what you think. And the rabbit hole goes deeper. Let's get into the Friends and Doja Cat conspiracy. So, Doja Cat, this is all I know, but we're going to dive deeper into it. She made a music video at the fountain of Friends, the theme song, the intro to Friends, the famous fountain with the couch. She put some sort of writing in the style of Friends, and then you know how there's a dot in between each letter? One was missing, And I can't remember if it was before or after the death of Mathew Perry. I think it was before, but there was one dot missing because there's a dot for each friend. So the whole thing is strange. You'll have to excuse the meowing in the background. There's nothing I can do about it. My cat's just being weird. Doja Cat gives playful nod to Friends opening credits while dressed up as a demon to promote her new single after putting her critics on blast. Doja Cat has been busy promoting her new single Demons, which dropped on Friday. So go check that song out. I haven't mastered OBS yet, otherwise we would just play it. Doja Cat has been busy promoting her new single Demons, which dropped on Friday. And the singer, 27, so let's see if she joins the 27 club. I did a whole video on that, so go check that out if you don't know what that is. Got creative with her promo by giving a nod to the opening credits scene of the sitcom Friends, all while dressed up as a horrifying demon. In a new TikTok, Doja rocks head-to-toe black body paint and a set of devil horns while laying on a red couch with the show's iconic fountain in the background. The superimposed image had demons written out in the Friends font just above her head as the clip quickly zoomed in on her. Remember, there's one of those dots missing. I think that dot represents Mathew Perry. The superimposed image, Doja, who recently blasted her critics as phonies, is seen flashing a menacing grin, all while decked out in diamonds and a black bikini that was just barely visible. She first teased demons this past March, when she changed her profile picture on TikTok to show her wearing a supernatural costume. She subsequently revealed that the song would be included on her upcoming album Scarlet. The Say So singer alluded to the upcoming release of her fourth record during an interview with Elle magazine. Elle magazine, I think that was brought up in the book too on a previous episode, which is, I don't know, a weird synchronicity. That was published last May. During the sit-down, Doja Cat expressed that her new project would primarily be comprised of rap songs in contrast to her earlier pop-oriented sound. Which, if you guys remember, apparently, I never really knew her. Apparently, she has been, off the rails, acting weird, changing her style of music, shaving her head, getting real satanic and shit. I don't know. It's weird. She stated, "I've rapped since the beginning and I really couldn't even sing that well to begin with. I got a lot better." The performer also spoke about listeners who felt that she was not well suited for the rap genre. "I use my voice as a tool to create these worlds, and it's fine if people think that I can't rap," she said. She also alluded to her new record being named Hellmouth this past March. I ain't gonna lie. That sounds, I don't listen to her, but the actual name of the album is pretty badass. Hellmouth. That's, as someone who used to sing horror punk, that sounds like a cool fucking name. The album probably sucks though. Who the fuck knows? I don't know. I just like the name of that. Although she later shot the idea down. The Grammy Award-winning performer later revealed that her album was named Scarlet last month. So, Scarlet. That gets into perhaps a reference to the Scarlet Whore, which is an occult symbol, an occult figure. Someone who covered the Scarlet Whore and who talks about it a lot is the Occult Rejects. Go check out their podcast. Shout out to them. They're former OTO and former Golden Dawn members, and yeah, they cover the occult, hence Occult Rejects. So Tell him who sent you. The Grammy Award winning performer. Okay. The singer started a minor controversy when she released her record's cover art to the public last month, and numerous fans claimed that it was nearly identical that of an album from a German band, Chaver. So they're saying that she's like copying another band. Interesting. Doja released the first single from her record entitled Attention this past June. The second single from Scarlet, Paint the Town Red, was made available to her fans last month. Demons was released on Friday, and its official music video debuted on Thursday evening. Scarlet is currently scheduled to be released on September 22nd. So, 9/22. I don't know if there's any occult symbolism to that, what the numerology is behind that, but that's the Doja Cat connection. And we got a little bit of time, so I think we'll finish this off with a chapter from Leave the World Behind, and we'll call it a wrap. Chapter 20. It had been 14 minutes since he'd left the house. He remembered checking the display as he started the car. Maybe it was 16. Maybe he was misremembering. Maybe it was fewer. Then he'd stopped to smoke that cigarette, which he usually said took 7 minutes, but actually it took closer to 4. So Clay had been driving for 10 minutes, which was not really so long, and meant he could truly be lost. He told himself to calm down, then pulled the car into the McKinnon Farms driveway to smoke a cigarette. He could, of course, continue down the drive to the farmhouse or some other building where people would be, but that would mean he was truly panicked, which he was not. So he smoked and tried to find the relaxation inherent in the act, then stubbed the thing out before it was truly done, impatient. He couldn't remember, when they'd driven to the house that first day, if theirs had been the only car. That first day seemed like weeks in the past. He closed the door harder than he had meant to. Though it was not exactly a slam, it was loud enough to underscore the general quiet. He told himself that this was normal, and it was. It would have seemed peaceful had he been prepared to find peace. It seemed irritating at best and menacing at worst. Symbols don't mean anything. You invest them with meaning, depending on what you need most. Clay chewed a piece of gum and started the car. He turned left out of the farm's access road and drove slowly, noting every possible turn on the right. There was one, then another, then finally another, but none looked familiar, and none were adjacent to a stand selling eggs. There was a sign that read, quote-unquote, corn, but this didn't seem to indicate anything at all. It must have been old. He thought of the mental and actual preparation they'd put into prepare Archie to ride a subway alone. The way they'd insisted the boy memorize their phone numbers, in case his telephone was lost or broken. Which, by the way, growing up in the 90s, we all used to do that. So I think that's kind of funny. I ain't gonna lie, dude. I don't have anybody's number memorized anymore. Not even my wife, but we just switched phones here recently, so we both have brand new numbers, but I don't have her new number memorized. I need to. The plan they'd agreed upon, should he find himself on a rerouted train bound for some part of the city where he'd never been. Now he rode the subway all the time. Clay rarely thought about it. That was how it worked. Maybe. You prepared your child to sleep through the night, or wield a fork, or piss in the toilet, or say please, or eat broccoli, or be respectful to adults, and then the child was prepared. That was the end of it. He didn't know why he was thinking about Archie. He shook his head as though to clear it. He would have to turn around and take one of the 3, 4, 5 turnoffs he'd passed, determine where they'd led, see if they were the right way. One of them had to be. He needed only to be methodical. He traced the route back to the house, then began again, more cautious, more attentive, and work his way to town, where he had intended all along to end up. He really wanted that Coke now. His head hurt from lack of caffeine. Their vacation was ruined. The spell had been broken, truly. What he should do was drive back to the house and have the kids pack their things. They'd be back in the city before dinner. They could splurge at the French place on the Atlantic. Order the fried anchovy, the steak, a martini. Clay was only decisive of after the fact. And now he was, well, he would say, turned around. Not lost. He felt a strangely powerful desire to see his children. He took the first left and drove only a few yards before understanding that this was not the route. It pitched uphill, and he knew the road had been level. He turned the car around and turned back onto the main road, barely slowing, knowing that there was no traffic coming in either direction. He took the second left, and this seemed like it might be the way. He drove on, then turned right because he could. Perhaps that was it. And the painted egg shack was just up that road. Everything looked familiar because trees and grass only ever looked precisely as you'd expect them to. He turned the car around again, went back to the road onto which he'd turned from the main road, and there, across the main road, he saw a woman. So, there we go. They're going to actually have something from the movie. Look at that, guys. She was wearing a white polo shirt and khaki pants. On some women, it would have to look like a leisure wear, but on this woman, her face a broad, indigenous shape, ancient blood, timeless dignity. It looked like a uniform. The woman saw him, raised a hand, waved at him, gestured at him, beckoned him. Clay pulled into the road, more slowly now, and glided to a stop. He lowered the passenger window and smiled at the woman. The way you're taught to smile at dogs so you don't betray your fear of them. Hello there. He wasn't sure what he'd say. Would he admit to being lost? Hello. She looked at him and then began speaking, very quickly, in Spanish. I'm sorry, he shrugged. It sounded, he hated to admit it, even in his private thoughts, like gibberish. He didn't speak any other languages. Clay didn't even like to attempt it. It made him feel like a fool or a child. The woman continued. The words poured out of her. She barely took a breath. She had something urgent to say and maybe forgotten what English she possessed. Hello and thank you, and it's okay, and Windex, and telephone, and text, and Venmo. In the days of the week. She talked. She kept talking. I'm sorry, he shrugged again. He did not understand. Of course, but maybe he comprehended. Oh, that was a word. Comprende. They said it in movies. You couldn't live in this country and not know some Spanish. And he'd had time to think about it. If he forced himself to calm down, he could have communicated with this woman. But she was panicked, and she was panicking him. He was lost and wanted his family. He wanted a steak at the restaurant on Atlantic Avenue. No Spanish, he said. She said more. Something. He heard beer, but she said dear. They sounded alike in both tongues. She said more. She said telephone, but he didn't understand. She said electric, but he didn't hear. Tears welled up at the corner of her small eyes. She was short, freckled, broad. She could have been 14 or 40. Her nose was running. She was weeping. She spoke louder, hurried, was imprecise, maybe lapsing out of Spanish altogether into some dialect, something still more ancient. The argot of civilizations long dead, piles of rubble and jungles. Her people discovered corn, tobacco, chocolate. Her people invented astronomy, language, trade. Then they'd cease to be. Now their descendants shucked the corn they'd been the first to know about, and vacuumed rugs, and watered decorative beds of lavender planted poolside at mansions in the Hamptons that sat unused most of the year. She'd forgot herself even, put her hands on his car, which they both knew was a violation. She held on to the 2-inch lip of the window that was sticking out up of the door. Her hands were small and brown. She was still talking through the tears. She was asking him a question he could not understand, in any way, would not have been able to answer. "I'm sorry," he shook his head. If his phone had worked, he might have to try Google Translate. He could have urged her to get into the car, but how would he have made her understand that he was lost, not driving in circles because he meant to kill her or lull her to sleep, as suburban parents did with infants? A different man would respond differently, but Clay was the man he was, unable to provide that this woman needed. One afraid of her urgency, her fear. He did not need translation. She was afraid. He should be afraid. He was afraid. "I'm sorry," he said to himself, more than to her. He released the window and started to roll it up. He drove farther down the road, quickly, though he'd intended to investigate all those driveways. He needed to be away from her, more even than he needed to be with his family. "Sorry about the cat, man. She's driving me nuts. We're done, Lilith. I'm done doing a podcast. Every time I podcast, you want to meow like a maniac." I hope y'all enjoyed. I gotta tend to this cat. Y'all have a good day.
We are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret society, opposed to secret oaths, opposed to secret proceedings, secret proceedings. No official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know.